Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Acc Podcast. My name is Shriya. I'm a sophomore at Harvard studying molecular biology. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Dr. Jiankui, a pioneer in gene editing and famously known for creating the first human genetically edited babies in November of 2018. Two girls who were born in October and known by their pseudonyms Lulu and Nana. Dr. Jiankui is a biophysicist trained at Rice University in Stanford, now focusing on gene therapy for rare diseases. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Sure.
Let's start from the very beginning. You originally studied physics before transitioning into biology. And
Yeah.
you've said that the golden era of physics was over and that biotech held a lot more promise. I wanted to ask you, what specifically drew you to biology and more specifically gene editing? And when did you first realize that CRISPR was going to be a game-changing technology?
Yeah, it's for me, I studied physics in China in a college. I spent 4 years on quantum physics. Then I went to United States for my graduate school. So when I was at the Rice University, at the very beginning in the physics department, I just realized that the physics is beautiful, but it's done. It's finished. So there's nothing we can do anything anymore. It's just done. So the golden age is gone. But I saw that a lot of biology questions unsolved. It's just too many things we don't know biology, and there's so many diseases. There's no cure. So at another moment, I feel that I should do that in this field of biology and medicine. I can find my mission and do something really good. So I switched to bioengineering at Rice University, and also continue that in Stanford University.
Okay, perfect. That's great to hear. I wanted to talk to you about some of your former colleagues have previously described you as extremely ambitious, someone who wanted to be a Chinese Einstein. Do you maybe want to speak to that a little bit? Do you think that kind of describes your personality? And do you think that ambition ever pushed you to take a lot of risks that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise considered?
Yes, their comment is correct. Yes, even when I was in the high school, wow, I love Einstein, and I think I should be Einstein second. So that's my goal in the high school. Unfortunately, I found that maybe not in physics, but in biology, it could be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe for this next segment, I wanted to shift a little bit more on that 2018 discovery that made a lot of headlines when you revealed in a YouTube video that twin
Mm,
girls, Lulu and Nana, had been born after undergoing gene editing to disable the CCR5 gene, which,
mm.
for our viewers who aren't familiar, this gene plays a role in HIV resistance. And I want this to just be an open forum for you, whether you'd like to share some of your thoughts about this event, maybe what was the rationale, what was the end goal, and whether you view this event differently now than maybe you had in the past.
Yeah, sure. First, I did CRISPR very early. I studied CRISPR when I was back in at Rice University. So I published first the CRISPR paper in 2010. That's even earlier than Jennifer Doudna and John Feng. They won Nobel Prize. Actually, I published CRISPR paper much earlier than they did, and that's why I said I'm CRISPR pioneer. But back to China, I want to do this gene editing and also the HIV resistant. It's a reason. That's a reason. Just one. It's one of the, in the sum of about 10 years ago, I visited a village in central province of China for the Wu province. So about 20 years ago, there is an HIV village, but HIV village is the village almost 30% of people are infected with HIV. It's because 20 years ago, when China's poor people sell blood exchange for cash. So many people are infected with HIV. So even today, I went to the village, there's still many people living with HIV. I visit this village, but there's one thing really, I was shocked me, but really makes me feel uncomfortable feel, it's when I was about to leave the village. I saw a kindergarten. What's good kindergarten? And the guide told me that only for people, for the children from this village, because all the kindergarten public refuse to take them, even they are healthy. These children healthy, but all the kindergarten or even other public schools refuse to take them just because they are worried that they are the children of maybe HIV family. So I don't want to feel that there's what we call discrimination against the HIV family and their children. And I feel really sad at the moment. And I want to do something to change that. That if the baby was born with the natural immunity against HIV, then they could feel confident to go to any public school. Hey, don't worry, make friends. And HIV is resistant. Don't worry, I don't carry any HIV virus. And actually resist the HIV. That would be good for them to accept it for the society. And also, of course, it's good for them living there in the natural family. So that's why I started this project. Yeah, so that's one thing. You have a lot of questions. What's the second one?
Yeah,
The topic?
absolutely. That's interesting to hear that there was a social stigma against these children who, you know, came from these families. And that was, I'm sure, a pretty tough thing for the kids and just in terms of their personal growth and their education. It's interesting to hear that since in the US, in the past, was a huge stigma. I think it's waning down now, but I'm sure at the time that was a huge problem. I think maybe I wanted to focus on this sort of question of necessity. It's one of the biggest concerns that other scientists have raised about your work. These claims that HIV transmission via IVF could technically already be prevented by established protocols. So I really wanted to ask you what made you decide that the gene edit was the right application for CRISPR at the time? And do you think if you had focused on a disease with no existing treatment options, that the public and scientific reception would have been different?
Okay, so to answer your question first, yes, there's other ways to prevent the transmission from mother to the baby. The standard way is washing the sperm because the HIV virus only in the fluid, not in the sperm. So you collect the sperm, wash the fluid, should be HIV negative. So we told the patient that we're going to do that, but I want to see that what we really want is not just they are healthy at the moment of the birth. All we want is an vaccine. It is an HIV vaccine. What a vaccine means, you get a one shot, you get a lifetime protection. That's a vaccine. So the currently no HIV vaccine.
Right.
And all the HIV families, they desperately want the HIV vaccine. Or even for normal people, we want to get HIV vaccine too. Right? So what really we're doing that is something we call it actually is HIV vaccine. So the baby with the CCR gene edited, they are naturally immune to HIV. This is an HIV vaccine. They gain lifetime protection. So their parents, their father, which is HIV positive, they don't worry about it anymore. They could play with the kids, eat with the kids, sleep with the kids, or they don't worry about it. If it's an accident, bleeding or something may transmit the virus. They don't want that, worry about it anymore. So it's a HIV vaccine project.
Yeah, it's interesting because that is like correct in that one-time fix, a one-time solution is
Yeah,
effectively a vaccine. You get vaccines when you're born and you
yeah,
don't have to worry about those infectious agent diseases anymore, but we don't have a good vaccine for HIV yet. There's tons and tons of research being done. So it's an interesting comparison you make. You mentioned earlier that sort of the parents knew that their children were being germline edited. So is it true that the parents were aware of this fact and did mother know?
of course. These parents, they are well educated. They have even went to graduate school, so they understood all the current therapeutics of HIV. You can check on the mobile phone, got all the information. It's easy. So they totally understand the current methodology. They also understand what is CRISPR and what the risk of it. So we signed the informed consent 20 page. See, I personally explained the informed consent in my office for 1 hour to explain atom by atom, make sure they understood. And the designers, they volunteered to join this project.
Okay, that sounds good. I think I just have a couple more questions on this topic. The first being is that the CCR5 gene is complex. It's associated with HIV resistance, but deleting it might also lead to increased susceptibility for other diseases that have been linked to reduced lifespan. Given these uncertainties, how did you at the time weigh the potential benefits against maybe these possible long-term risks? And maybe could you speak to the health of these children now? And are you in contact with the children and their families or not so much?
While you are misleaded, so some people give you false information. The seeds of lockout is naturally existing in the European people. There may be 100 million people have the CCR5 natural mutation. So they were healthy. They are healthy. 100 million people are healthy. So deleting CCR5, there's no other obvious side effect. This for natural world observation. Some people told you that they have shorter lifespan. That's false information. There's a Nature paper on that, and the author retracted that paper to prove that it's false. So I tell you, CCR5 deletion is people is as healthy as normal people, as proved by 100 million people living in the world. Okay. Oh, what is the second part of the question? I forget again.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for that. The second part of the question was whether you're still in contact with the families of these children and whether you can maybe speak to their health and their quality of life now.
Oh, yes, we have a regular contact with both families. The first family, the twins. The second family is a single, is a girl. They are living normal, healthy, peaceful life. They go to the school as normal people, go to kindergarten, and now in the first year primary school, just living normally as other people. They were healthy. Their parents are very happy with that. The third girl, their parents are divorced, so the girl is living with her single mother. Life is not easy for a single mother living anywhere, of course, in China. So actually, I also provide some limited financial support to help them in the last 2 years. But very limited, just to make sure they have a normal life. I'm not trying buying something. No, it's just
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very important. Aside from all the health is important, but the quality of life and the state of life is also equally important. Okay, great. The last question that I wanted to tackle in this area is a lot of people are having issue with the way the experiment was conducted without full peer review, under secrecy, and maybe some concerns about whether the parents fully understood the risks, which you mentioned to me earlier that you sat down with them and talked to them. But what were your thoughts about the processes at the time? And can you walk us through some of your decision-making processes and why you felt that this secrecy was necessary? Did you feel like maybe what you wanted to do didn't align with, what the government wanted to see you do?
it's totally wrong. Actually, I did it in an open, transparent way. Okay, so when I first did even this animal study in mice or some monkey, I gave presentation in Hot Spring Harbor in New York in front of 400 people. They're all gene editing experts, including Jennifer Doudna, all the big name persons there. I gave presentation, told them what I did, the results, and everything. You know that. Yeah, it's so 400 people know that. And then after a few months, I went to Berkeley. I gave a presentation in front of 20 people, including US government, even a lot of Bill Gates Foundation people, all kinds of people. Told them what I'm doing. I also personally consulted, also took advice from over 30 people, including Nobel Prize winner Craig Mann, and also, of course, my advisor in the States, and some lawyer, some bioethicists at Stanford University. So it's not a secret. It's open, transparent. There's a lot of people know what I'm doing. I show them animal study results and the human non-viable embryo results, everything was showed them. So all my data has been discussed before the clinical trial. And we got the ethical committee approval in the Chinese hospital to do that. So it's open and transparent. I always do science open and transparent. 6 years ago, it is. Today, we are.
Okay, absolutely. And then you mentioned it was open and transparent, but you did receive quite a bit of criticism. If I'm remembering at the Hong Kong summit, you faced a room full of scientists who David Baltimore called it irresponsible. Another bioethicist, Julian, called it like monstrous. Looking back, do you think that reception was fair? And did any of those arguments that were raised, did it change how you viewed your own work or your own perspective? Or were you mostly confident about what you had done? And how would you respond to these people?
They are genius of my achievement because this is one of the greatest breakthroughs in history. They are genius of it. I would say that. Actually, I did this. I feel very proud. It's because I have two families. Just tell me, oh, you have thousands of scientists sitting in the room. How many patients, how many families have helped? You may publish one little paper, one science paper. So what? A few people read it. You may publish thousands of paper. How many families you research have really helped? Tell me. I would say most of them say zero. But I would say I have two families. I'm proud of it. I'll tell you. So when the twins are born, just a few days after that, the father sent me a message to say, thank you, professor. I'm going to work hard, make money, and take care of my family for the rest of my life. I feel so wow. You know what? For HIV patients, they lost their hope. They lost their hope for the life. They thought their life is going to end in a few years. So they never thought about the long term. They make some money, they spend it, never make any saving or something. They just lost hope. But when they have two babies and healthy baby and the HIV resistant, they regain their hope on family, on marriage. Most HIV patients divorce, but they are not. They just regained all this the hope on life. And they feel that I'm not just saving two lives of a baby, I'm actually saving the soul of an HIV patient. And that's why I feel proud of it. So with that support, even if you have millions of scientists that criticize, I feel fine. I have two family. This two family, they thank me.
Thank you for speaking on this. I want to now maybe shift towards post this discovery. I don't want to bring up any bad memories, but obviously in 2019, you were arrested and sentenced to 3 years in prison. And if you don't want to wish to speak on this, please let me know. But I wanted to ask you, what was going through your mind during that time and what were you thinking about? It's obviously a very challenging experience. And so I just wanted to get some insight into what you reflected on during those years.
In the past few years, it's very difficult for me. It's a very hard time to me. I would say the one thing I regret the most is to my own family. I have two daughters. They are also in a very difficult situation for several years. So if you ask, should I apologize to anyone? Yes, I will only apologize to my own family. Yeah. But it's gone. I will see that I could come out of it. It's because I get support from patients. So although I get millions of criticisms from all over the world, but I also received thousands of patients sending me email, text me on all kinds of ways, contacting me to show their support, and they need me to help them because they get a disease that currently has no cure or current standard of medicine couldn't help them. And they know that my technology could benefit them. And from that, I feel that I stand firmly on the ground because the support of patient gave me the power and not gain any support from scientific community or government or something, but again the support from the patient. It's my mission. It's to help this patient as a scientist, a bioengineer, biomedicine scientist. My goal, my mission is helping patient, not publishing paper in the science editing or get a title in Nobel Prize or something. No, our ultimate mission is helping patient. And when the patient contact me and I feel the power, and that's helped me to recover from this, I would say, it's a huge negative.
Nah, absolutely. And I've heard you mention this in other interviews that when you got out of prison, you had almost 2,000 emails from patients who specifically they were looking for a cure for DMD and that this was a huge problem that they wanted you to come in and make a gene therapy that can cure that, if I'm recalling that interview correctly. Actually, I wanted to talk about that. Since your release, you've spoken about this about quite a bit, and you're transitioning now from germline editing to more on the gene therapy for rare diseases side of things. Do you feel like how has your approach to science basically evolved since 2018? What are some things that you're doing differently, and what are some things that you want to keep the same?
But don't I want to see that I have changed. I always do things, follow all the guidelines, ethic regulations, and the laws. So I was like that 6 years ago, and I also doing this way today. And also, I would say that my primary focus is still the germline gene editing. I'm working on the human embryo. So that's my primary focus. In addition to the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a somatic gene therapy, and also work on the embryo gene for preventing Alzheimer's disease. But I would say that for the embryo study, we are working on only animal embryo or human cells, not making any pregnancy or having more babies very soon. So no, we are only doing on the non-viable human embryo and animal embryos.
Wow. Okay, cool. That's good to hear. Can I ask you a little bit more about what you're doing specifically on the germline side? I know you mentioned Alzheimer's, but do you mind just briefly touching on that? Yeah, please.
I want to do this because my mother has Alzheimer's disease. So when I get out of the prison, my mother don't know me anymore. So that's really sad. So maybe one day I also get Alzheimer's. I don't know my daughter anymore, or maybe my grandchild. So I want to do something to change that because there's no cure for Alzheimer's. So for the Alzheimer project, we know that there's a small portion of Icelandic people. They naturally has no Alzheimer's because there's mutation in one gene, but it's AAPP gene. So they are lucky that people observe this population for a long time. They are healthy, even getting old, or they even younger and no Alzheimer's because there's mutation naturally existing Icelandic people. So what we want to do is maybe in our future generation, for my kids, that they could have the same mutation as this lucky Icelandic people. So my future children will have no Alzheimer anymore. So that's my goal is introducing one single mutation discovered in Icelandic people to the embryos of our future children. So they will be free of Alzheimer's.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's a huge problem. I have members in my related family who suffer from Alzheimer's, so I can totally relate to that on a more personal level. Okay. I wanted to ask you, while we're still on this topic of your current research and moving forward, I'm sure that hasn't been easy. Hong Kong revoked your visa. Many institutions still remain hesitant to associate. Do you believe that trust can be rebuilt? And are you working towards that? If so, how?
I would say it's very difficult to gain the trust of scientists, but I gain the trust of patient and the public. And that's more powerful than just the scientific community. Scientific community maybe have small population, but for the general public, it's huge. So that's why now I speak publicly in the Twitter. I disclose my research on Twitter. Every step we did, I put information on Twitter. So the whole world will watch me what I'm doing. So the patient, general public, all these people, they know what I'm doing. I'm not hiding anything. I'm open and transparent. And I gradually, I gain the support from people.
Okay, awesome. Great. So I think I wanted to zoom out to the bigger picture. Very general question. Where do you see the future of human gene editing going in the next 50 years?
In 50 years, like in 2075, I would say human journal gene editing will be as popular as a phone. Yeah, so it could be the parents could decide whether their children will be free of Alzheimer's and also all genetic disease, cholesterol problem, or maybe even cancer. So our future generation will be healthier.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of medical sort of reasons. I wanted to get your opinion on whether you think in, say, 50 or 100 years, the community is ever going to accept using germline editing for more sort of aesthetic features like intelligence, height, just appearance.
I'm totally against that. So the journal gene should be only used for medical purpose, not for increasing intelligence or military usage.
Some have argued that you should be permanently banned from human genome research. Obviously, you're still doing research. Others say that you served your time and you should be reintegrated. What do you think is obviously the fair approach? You're doing research right now, but what do you have to say to people who believe that you should not be doing research anymore?
Oh, there are thousands or millions of people are waiting for me to help them, saving them. So please let me do the research. I'm gonna open and transparent, and I'm gonna accept all the regulations as other scientists. I'm going to do it in an ethical way, like any other people. I post everything on Twitter. You can come my app and check it out. Yeah, just let me help those millions of patients. They are needing me to help them to find a cure for the disease for themselves or for their next generation.
Absolutely. Okay. I just had two more questions and then I'm ready to close it out. The first one being if you could go back to 2018 before you started the experiment, before anything ever happened, is there anything you would do differently? Would you still pursue germline editing, but perhaps in a more regulated fashion, or would you have abandoned this project altogether?
I would do it the same way.
Okay. Could you maybe speak to a little bit more about why you think you would do it in the exact same way?
But looking at the history, that all the science progress like this, you do something, people strongly oppose it, then our viewers, people accept that. So that's the only way the science or medicine progress. There's no better way.
You once said that society will decide what to do next. What do you think society should do next when it comes to human germline editing? If germline editing becomes safer and more accepted, do you believe that these modifications should ever be permitted? You've obviously spoken to the fact that you think it'll be the next iPhone. What do you think about society's perceptions of germline editing? And is this something that's going to be accepted by not necessarily patients who suffer from these diseases, but from just the general kind of community?
Yeah, let the general public speak out. Take the microphone from those experts of bioethics. So ignore them. Let the people decide whether we should use it or not. Let the people engage in the conversation, either in television or social media or something. Let the people speak out and forget those experts. If people decide it's good for society, then do it. If people say no, then stop. It made people make the fair decision.
Okay. And the final question that I have for you before we close out: how do you want to be remembered? You've been at the center of one of the most widely talked about moments in modern science. 50 years from now, when people look back at your work, what is the legacy by which you hope to be remembered?
In the 50th, I hope people remember that this person saved the two family.
All right, great. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to speak with you.